There are 195 countries in the world, and over 300,000 kilometers of borders between them. Most are crossed daily by trucks, tourists, and trade, but a few are so volatile, so tense, so militarized, they don't just separate nations, they separate peace from war. Here, a single gunshot can become a headline. A soldier blinking the wrong way can trigger international panic. These aren't borders, these are tripwires. Korea, where the Cold War never ended. The Korean DMZ is what happens when a ceasefire freezes a war, but never ends it. 240 kilometers of no man's land, 4 kilometers wide, guarded by nearly 2 million soldiers, tanks, drones, and surveillance systems. On maps, it's a buffer zone. In reality, it's a scar, carved by a war that technically never stopped. Since 1953, the North and South have faced each other across this narrow strip of land with weapons always ready and trust permanently off the table. On the northern side, North Korea's elite units, artillery dug into mountains, and the world's most secretive regime watching through binoculars. On the southern side, state-of-the-art sensors, US and South Korean forces, and towers scanning every movement, every heartbeat. Even the trees are trimmed in straight lines, because asymmetric growth could block a line of sight. Yes, even trees have rules here. This isn't just a border, it's the last open chapter of the Cold War, still waiting for its ending, or its explosion. India and Pakistan, a nuclear border that hates to sleep. The most dangerous border in South Asia is the line of control in Kashmir. Here, it's not just soldiers standing guard, it's 2 nuclear-armed countries who've already fought 3 wars. The terrain is unforgiving. Icy peaks, narrow valleys, and ridgelines that hide sniper fire and artillery positions. On both sides, bunkers, radar posts, and troops armed to the teeth. Even civilians living in border towns expect occasional shelling and keep their windows taped in case of shockwaves. India blames Pakistan for sponsoring terrorism in Kashmir. Pakistan accuses India of human rights violations, but at 9,000 feet above sea level, neither diplomacy nor outrage matters. Only the high ground does. And yet, at the Wagah border crossing, the same nations lock eyes every evening in a choreographed military dance, complete with goose-stepping, flag salutes, and ceremonial aggression so exaggerated it looks like a wrestling promo. It's tense, it's theatrical, and it happens daily, while the real danger brews just miles away. Israel-Gaza, a fence built on fire. To some, it's a security barrier. To others, it's a prison wall. To all, the border between Israel and Gaza is a front line in a conflict that seems permanently unsolvable. On Israel's side, surveillance towers, motion sensors, underground concrete barriers, AI-powered tracking, and even autonomous gun turrets. On Gaza's side, a densely packed population of over 2 million, blockaded by land, sea, and air. Tunnels dug beneath, rockets launched above. With every escalation, entire neighborhoods are flattened, and cities light up with smoke trails and sirens. But the real tragedy? This is the only border on Earth where children can grow up having survived multiple wars before the age of 10. US-Mexico, the border that tech still can't control, stretching nearly 2,000 miles. The US-Mexico border is a battleground of another kind. Not one of war, but of migration, trafficking, and surveillance. Here, the enemy isn't an army. It's complexity. Walls slice through desert plains, some stretching 30 feet high. Above, drones with thermal sensors track movement day and night. Below, cartels dig tunnels, some so sophisticated they include rails and ventilation. Migrants, many escaping violence, poverty, or political chaos, risk everything. Some walk for weeks, some pay smugglers thousands, some die in the desert. Meanwhile, the US spends billions annually patrolling it, yet can't seem to stop the flow or the debate surrounding it. The war here is political, and it's far from over. Russia and NATO. The Suwałki Gap, where World War III could start it, looks like a forgotten stretch of farmland between Poland and Lithuania. But to military planners, the Suwałki Gap is a nightmare scenario waiting to unfold. It's only 65 kilometers wide. But it's what connects NATO forces in the west to the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And it sits between 2 powerful allies of Moscow, Belarus and the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad, one of the most militarized regions in Europe. If Russia ever decided to move in and take the gap, the Baltic states could be completely cut off from NATO. That's why NATO drills here are relentless. Troops from the US, Germany, and the UK rehearse defensive maneuvers. Fighter jets conduct constant patrols. And Russia watches, silently but not idly. In Kaliningrad, nuclear-capable missiles, radar jammers, and warships are always on standby. It's not just a border, it's a chessboard. And the first move could be the last one anyone ever makes. The truth about borders. We live in an era of satellites, digital identities, and AI. And yet, we still build fences, walls, minefields. We still deploy tanks over lines drawn by dead empires. Because borders aren't just about security, they're about identity, power, fear, and please like and subscribe my video. And in the places where those fears are strongest, the concrete gets thicker, the barbed wire gets sharper, and the silence gets louder. Peace isn't always about what's happening. Sometimes it's about what's barely not happening. And in these places, peace is held together not by treaties, but by tension.